I started out very intensely on the community development side. I always had an interest in cities and urban development, and my first job was in a program called the Empowerment Zone. So that was the Clinton administration's sort of urban agenda. They gave several cities in the United States a large block grant to implement for neighborhood development. And I basically worked with the community to figure out how to program that money to serve their needs. So from the start, I had a very strong community-related kind of background and learned a lot about the importance of civic engagement and how that makes projects better, helps make projects succeed, and it helps you serve the people that you're trying to sort of target with that. So that community development background is something I've carried with me through my career. After that, I shifted a little bit more to the economic development aspect. So I started looking at commercial corridors, thinking about what makes great commercial corridors, what makes sort of struggling commercial corridors struggle, and trying to implement some improvements to help revive those and bring them along. And sort of another big thing I learned is that you're often in the public sector really trying to set the ground for the private market to be able to come in and invest. Obviously, public resources are limited, so if you can find a way to invest your resources in ways that organize people, help to lay the groundwork so that the private market can then see an opportunity and come in and invest and sort of take it over the finish line, was a lot of the work that we did. After that, I started thinking about where I would like to go career-wise in the private sector. It's kind of hard to find a community development career in the private sector, so I started thinking a lot about real estate and had a great opportunity within the deputy mayor's office to come onto his team and really work on, from the government side, pushing difficult real estate development projects so that they would happen, essentially. There are a number of assets that were critical to being developed for the city as far as really holding neighborhoods back, for example. A large 10-story hotel was one called the Divine Lorraine on North Broad Street, and really needed the city to give it that extra push, work with private marketers, try and market the property, get somebody involved that could actually redevelop it, offer public assistance as much as we could, help with financing, connecting with banks and other things. So that was a lot of the work that I did. When there was a development project that really needed some added level of support, needed help moving through the approvals process in the city, I would work with them. We also had a new zoning code in the city of Philadelphia, so we were sort of on the ground implementing that from the developer's perspective, trying to figure out how that's interpreted and what it sort of means to developers, all with the idea of really trying to make things seamless and work for the development community. So I was keeping my eyes open, and I'd always sort of had this Cornell connection. So my wife actually went to Ithaca College, and we visited here a lot. We had a lot of friends here, and liked the area. And I always thought that it'd be great if I could find something at Cornell. So I started to form some relationships here, and when the opportunity came up, I just went for it. And the department and the needs of the university were going in a way that I think. My experience working with in a public institution, working with the private sector, really transitioned well and translates well here to some of the endeavors we're doing here as a university and our real estate. I think the role of real estate and for the university is to use its assets you need to benefit and look out for the university's interests, obviously. But I think you can do it in a way that creates great places and really has an economic benefit to the people that live here. And for Cornell, we do have some assets that are very close to campus, but we're outward looking in those. So we do have, we have particular needs that we need to meet with those developments, and I'm sure we'll talk about them specifically soon. But we also want to do it in a way that really benefits the community and creates exciting places for people to come to. REV is a partnership between Ithaca College, Cornell University, and TC3. So it's not just a Cornell initiative. However, my office did actually work on the leasing side of that and making sure we had a lease and a place to do it. But REV is a great place for businesses that are starting up that don't want to have to invest in a place or a space necessarily. It can go and work with other businesses and sort of serve as a launching pad to moving, sort of developing and becoming and staffing up and growth. And it's interesting because I think Tom Schreibner, who's very closely involved with that, and deals with and teaches entrepreneurs. I've been talking to him about just sort of that sort of graduation and where people can go, because you do want to keep them in Ithaca. If you can keep them in Ithaca, it can become difficult for a startup to grow, have access to talent, have access to some of the financial and investment resources that they need to grow. But in as much as we can create that sort of what the right word is, but a way for businesses to transition into new spaces in a way that helps them grow, I think is really important. We do have eHub through entrepreneurship at Cornell now have space on campus and in College Town for students that are starting businesses. You have Rev as space that they could transition to after they're out of school. And now at the Business and Tech Park, we have something called Langmuir Labs. It's the one building that we actually own out there. It's very flexible, not that expensive space for businesses to locate and grow in, whether you're a wet lab or whether you have an office presence. So I think as much as we can help to develop that, I think it really helps to keep businesses here as much as we can. So it's a model that hasn't been done at Cornell yet. Lots of universities have done that in very big ways. Arizona State University, I think, is, I don't even know how many beds, but there are a lot of, especially public universities, that are doing a lot of this now. The benefit here is that it allows, we have limited capital, we have limited debt capacity, and what we want to do is we really want to channel that toward supporting the academic mission of the university. And if we can have a third party use an asset that we own, such as the land, to finance and develop a project, I think it really benefits Cornell. And we've identified a developer, and there are a lot of developers out there that are very adept at this, know what they're doing, have a lot of the resources needed to do it, and are great managers of properties. So that's what we set out to do with Maplewood. It's reached the end of its useful life. It was constructed just in 1989, but they weren't the highest quality units, and the reinvestment in those to bring them back would be too high. So the plan is to raise those and really have a great, dynamic, walkable community in Maplewood. And we really want to house more of our graduate and professional students. We want to hit a higher percentage of those students. Once Maplewood goes out of service, we'll be at about 6%, I believe, of our graduate and professional students. So we want to maximize the density there and do it in a way that's responsible for the neighborhood around it. So we're hoping to, right now there's 362 beds there. We hope to hit at least 850 beds in the new development. I think thinking expansively about what kinds of experience you can have, instead of going right to a development company or right to a financer or something like that. I think you think outside the box and do things that get you out in the community and dealing with people a lot. The public sector is an example that people may not even really think about, but I think it was a great grounds for learning a lot about the real estate industry. And I really think getting out and engaging in the communities, I think more and more, and I'm going to talk about this afternoon, I think the public's expectations about the public realm are changing dynamically, and they feel a lot more ownership about the public realm. And how you develop that public realm around your property is going to be critically important. And I think really just dealing with people and communities, I think, is a huge asset and something that you're going to have to do more and more of. Our laws encourage it, but I think you're going to have to go farther than sort of what the laws require as far as civic engagement.